Good morning, people. Back in 2004, I had the honor of accompanying one of hip-hop's biggest West Coast legends on a night out on the town. I was aspiring to be this big-time Midwest rap star, and this was just what the team needed to push us over the hump. We quickly started up negotiation conversations of signing a one-time mixtape deal and had scheduled time the next day to record a collab of some sort. The deal never happened, and the track was never laid. You see, on my way home that early morning after the rap star's entourage dropped us all back off at the hotel, I was followed home by an unmarked, unknown vehicle. This vehicle would soon be chasing me around the city of Lincoln, Nebraska. It would also be the one placing me under arrest. All of my hopes and dreams were shattered. How many of you would agree with me by me making this statement? Sometimes you've just got to lose things for new things. Crazy statement, right? Well, it carries some truth. You see, we tend to hold on to the things that serve us no value because the lives we are living require them. We hold tight because if we let go, we will fall and hit bottom. Listen up, people. Just let go and fall. Your landing may hurt a bit, but I promise you this. All of the new seeds that you will be able to plant from ground level will grow you that much farther. By accepting your falls, you allow yourself that much more bounce on the come up. So get the falling, people.
First Cup KC, unique, hustle hard music. Yeah, First Cup KC, start your day off with a cup of Joe and positive convo. First Cup KC, shine a light on the ones that work hard from Kansas to the Mo. First Cup KC, motivate, educate, inspire the youth to be great. First Cup KC, believe in yourself is the key to make a change. It's never too late. First Cup KC. This broadcast is a No Solutions podcast production. Yeah.
Today on the show, I have the honor of interviewing a very unique soul. Not only does she bring with her a long list of accolades, she also comes with a magnetic personality that will draw in the best of them. She is a 2-time award-winning coach. She's a speaker, trainer, connector, as well as a mentor who runs her own consulting firm called Heretothereconsulting. And she also authors a book entitled Here to There Revealed. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sheri Berger to the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to have you. I remember the first time I met you at ACA, it was just like, boom, who is this lady? I need to know who this lady is. And since then, we've talked a little bit. We've met a couple times and spoken on the phone a couple of times, and your story, it intrigues me. So who is Sheri Berger?
Who is Sheri Berger? I always say, I hope that everybody, when they meet Sheri Berger, realizes I'm a child of God. Mm-hmm. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm a first-time grandma. If you haven't tried that gig, that's awesome.
Yes, it is.
And then I'm a businesswoman. And so that's who I say I am in a nutshell. That's who I choose to be, and that's who I am. And I always hope that when people meet me, that's what they see.
Well, I think that's what they see. A bright person, full of life. You got a lot of energy. And when I say energy, I don't think there's any negative energy in there. You seem to like reflect it off of you. How was it growing up at Sheri Berger?
Well, when you're talking about energy, right? Attitude's always a choice, right?
Yes, it
and
is.
it's always, is the grass greener on the other side, or do you just water where you're at, right? Mm-hmm. Same with this cup, half empty or half full?
It's got to be half full for me.
It always has to be, no, it's fillable.
Yes.
The cup is fillable.
Yes.
So if it's half full, don't worry, I'm going to get more. It's not a big deal. But my childhood, I grew up a typical middle-class white family. My dad over-provided for us. He had a good job. He was in the military, and I grew up in Alaska, of all places. Yeah, we grew up in the country. And
what part of Alaska? The part that
I was
get
born in
dark?
Fairbanks, and then I grew up in Wasilla. Alaska has multiple different climates, but Alaska is a whole nother story, right?
Yeah.
But I grew up in the country, and I did 4-H and all that, and you know, but what happened behind closed doors was a little different than what would happen out in the real world, right?
Yeah.
My dad just had some anger and depression and things like that, and you know, sometimes you grow up with a little bit of rougher childhood than maybe you choose to be.
Yes.
So, and then I moved from there to Atlanta. I know,
Atlanta.
big culture shock.
So you went from Alaska to Atlanta.
Yes. And I was 15 and a half.
Huh.
And my mom and dad were like separated for a year. It wasn't by choice, but my dad was looking for a job. He wanted to move to Atlanta. So he kept throwing his resume everywhere, and he moved us down to the States. We call it the States when you live in Alaska. And so we moved back down to the States, and it's not good when you move when you're 15 and a half. That's not a fun age to move because I went to
lost all
school
your
with my
friends.
friends and
Yeah.
everything. And my mom and dad, like I said, were separated for a year because my dad was throwing resumes everywhere, and he got a job offer in Kansas City. Can you
Really?
believe it? With AT&T. We are not moving to Kansas. There's only wheat fields. So he kept throwing his resume everywhere. Finally got a job offer with Sprint. But where is Sprint Central headquarters?
In Kansas City, Missouri. Well, it's Kansas. It's up on 119th, right? Is that the headquarters for Sprint? Yeah, it's on 119th.
Yes. But yeah, that's what they did. They moved him here, and there was lots of different Sprint campuses, but Dad got moved here. Well, in the meantime, Dad had moved with us down in Atlanta, and he kicked me out multiple times when I was 16, and I ended up moving out 2 days after I was 17. I'm the oldest of the 4 little kids. I'm the oldest girl.
Mm-hmm.
And Dad pretty much tried to change all the, I don't even know, and told me either get out or not. But I mean, I don't know about you, but I was waiting to turn 18 and move out. So I thought, you know, I'm going to find life better if I just move on. I don't need to put up with this.
Right.
But have you ever heard going from the, what is it called, to the frying pan?
Yeah.
I went from that extreme to I married an I married an abusive alcoholic husband. So I started dating a guy that was 6 years older than me, and he was an abusive alcoholic. Yeah. That was a whole nother thing. So I got married when I was 18. I had a baby at 19, and I was divorced by the time I was 20.
Man, that's the trilogy.
But it took me 4 times to leave him. Do you know what the average of abuse is?
What's the average?
7. I beat the average.
Ooh.
I did it in 4.
Beating the
But
odds.
I kept taking back my ex-husband and putting up with abuse. And then I was going through a divorce, so I moved over here in Kansas City to be closer to family, because what are you supposed to do, right, when you do that? And then I had no GED, no driver's license, no education. And I'm trying to leave my husband. And my
Sound
mom,
like it was a situation of trap.
and my mom, yeah. That's exactly, anybody's been in an abusive relationship, they'll find that out, right? Mm-hmm. I got told I wasn't very smart growing up. I got told I wasn't that pretty growing up. I got told that by my ex-husband. So if you're 20, what are you going to believe? Not very pretty, not very smart. What are you going to do? You keep putting up with the same-o.
Yeah.
But I had one guy that met me when I was 18, and I was pregnant, and his name was Gerald Harris. And he believed in me. When everybody told me I couldn't, he said, why can't you? And I'd say, but I have this obstacle or that obstacle. He'd be like, do you want to or you don't?
So he gives you an options now. When
And
you
he
didn't
kept-
think you had them.
And so he believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Went and got my GED, went and got my driver's license. I went to college. I didn't think I'd even graduate college, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I walked when I graduated from JUCO, junior college here. I made sure I walked. I was so excited that I had a 2-year degree. Then I went on to Park University, and Gerald even paid half my semester, I think, at Park University. Whatever grants, whatever loans, whatever, he told me I had to go do it. I told him he couldn't do that. And he told me, yes, I can. And now you. So he was like my second dad. He was amazing. I had him in my life I just lost him 2 years ago.
I'm sorry.
So I had him in my life for about, 30 some years. I was 51 when he passed on. And from 18 to 51, he's seen something in me and he believed in me. But when you have that one person believe in you, Chuck, guess what happens?
What happens?
You go to JUCO and teachers tell you that you're smart. And you get other people that believe in you. And then when you start believing in yourself and you start moving forward, you start seeing. Now, when I went to college, I was only 20 and I had a bunch of guys trying to get me to go out with them.
Mm-hmm.
I was not flattered. I felt like, what do they want? You're not going to control me. You're not going to. You think I trusted men after being screwed over like that? No. And what the heck? And I didn't know I was pretty and I didn't know, right?
Yeah.
Because you only know what you know. But if you get that one person to believe in you, and then, of course, along the way, I met my husband, and I'm married now, 28 years to love my life and all of that. But it's always, you never know what you don't know.
You never know what you don't know.
Yeah, and I was abused till I was 20, till I decided there has to be something more. There has to be something different. And what if one person can show you that?
All it takes is one person.
Yeah, but it should be you, right?
It should be.
But if you can't believe, maybe you need somebody else to come alongside you, support you. Well, we always need that, right?
Yes,
but I'm saying
do.
to first move forward if you're in that situation.
And sometimes it takes an outer source to move you. And once you're moved, you get to moving a little bit and you get to seeing that, hey, I can move. But so it sounds like you kind of had a shaky teen life. What did you have any trauma, any life-changing trauma events that happened?
Oh, a lot of things, of course, happened in my childhood that never probably should have happened, right? And then a lot of things happened in my first marriage that shouldn't have happened. Mm-hmm. But you just don't know what you don't know, right? Like I said.
Yeah, you
don't. So growing up, with your dad that might have anger problems and hold guns on your brother and strangle your mom and kick your dog and tell you how to sit down and pray, right? But you think that's normal, right?
Because you grew up in it.
I mean, we did call the police, made it stop, right? We didn't let it, but yes, we did, right? Yeah, but you didn't know what you didn't know. And so a lot of times people look at people's life in general and they'll be like, why would they put up with that, right?
Yeah.
And then my ex-husband, he took it to a more extreme. I didn't have any friends. Can you believe that? I've had friends my whole life. I'm an extrovert on steroids. He didn't let me have friends.
That's the sign.
He didn't let me.
Abusive alcoholic.
Yeah, he didn't let me, right? He didn't let me.
Yeah. He took away your
and by
right.
the time my son tell everybody I was 119 pounds. I used to weigh that, believe me. When I got pregnant, I was 155 at full term with my oldest son. And by the time he was 5 months old, I weighed 105 pounds. And I did not want to live. Only two things kept me living. God, and I didn't want my ex-husband to raise my son. But the abuse was that bad.
Man.
So I'm so lucky. I say my son and God are the reason I'm still here. But, yeah, people can get you that bad. And when I went to college, I was sitting in the back class. Didn't want nobody to talk to me. Wanted everybody to leave me alone. I just wanted to get my degree, get out of school. Man. And that's not how it ended up working, right? Like I said, I had some guys trying to approach me, not so much. Didn't like that. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of trust issues you had to work through, a lot of other stuff. I tell people, and I am proud to say it, okay? I went in Al-Anon, and I've been in some form of counseling my whole adult life. That's why I sit here today. And people think that makes you weak. That makes you strong.
Oh, yeah, dude.
You need to make sure if you need support and you need people in your life, you need to get them in your life. Today, I still see a counselor. I know you're like, what? Now I'm dealing with aging parents that can maybe be difficult, empty nest syndrome, which can be difficult. And I want to be the best version of me. I want to make sure I'm having the clear boundaries with people, but boundaries with love, right? Boundaries with respect.
Mm-hmm.
I love my parents. I respect my parents. I know, but I have boundaries with them. I don't, right? I don't let people abuse me.
Yeah.
There's a difference between being a doormat and having boundaries. So, yeah.
So when I first started this episode, I had an interjection in the beginning of it where I spoke about a cup that I put out a couple of weeks ago, talking about rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
We all hit rock bottom. Some people hit rock bottom and they stay there. Some people hit rock bottom and they're rubber because they bounce right back up. My question to you is, what would you say was your rock bottom moment in your life, and how fast or how long did it take you to get yourself back up?
Well, my final thing of wanting different was when my ex-husband was hitting me in front of my kid, because I knew what it was like.
Yeah.
I was that child.
Watching your mom.
And I did not want that for my kid.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first time I left. But then I came back. Because what do? Then I left again.
You think
Then I came back. Well, they talk you into it. Divorce is not allowed in my family.
Mm-hmm.
You made your bed, you're lie in it. You got to try to work this out. Maybe he's going to change. My ex-husband was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He had his, fifth of vodka. He became a different person. And he'd have blackouts. I didn't believe him when he told me, right? Until he was in Valley Hope, which is in Atchison here. And I went through Valley Hope. They don't just put the alcoholic through the Valley Hope.
Mm-hmm.
They put the spouse too. And you know how beneficial that was for me?
Because you were able to see some truth.
Because then you start saying, oh, that's what's going on. But I told you I weighed 105 pounds when my son was 5 months old.
Man.
I would have killed myself. I'm not kidding, except for I would have had the fear of God, because God never left me in all of it. But should we really have that much? Back then I was also ignorant even to God, right? You know what I mean? I was scared of God. And not that you shouldn't be scared of God, but God's my best friend. God's here for me. He's not, you know what I mean? He's not
He's not absent. That's for sure.
Yeah. And so anyway, and then my son, that was the whole reason I held on. And so I'd say that was a rock bottom, but do we sometimes hit rock bottom more than one time, different times throughout our life?
No,
when we finally get sick of something, people be like, I want to lose weight. Well, are you sick of being unhealthy? You're going to finally do something. And so sometimes it has to be that one defining moment. And I wish I could tell you that I all of a sudden one day said, I'm done with abuse.
Right.
I didn't. I left him 4 times. Praise God, it wasn't 7.
Yeah, so those 4 first times, that wasn't your rock bottom. Because some people say, oh, I'm tired of my belly. I'm tired of these big arms or these big legs. And it's just made me so unhealthy that I got to change. And this is it. I'm done. And then sometimes people say, I'm tired of my belly because I can't get this girl to look at me, or I can't get this guy to check me out. And this is what's going to make me do it. When I say rock bottom, I mean, when you get to a point where no matter what, that's it.
I think that was after I started realizing I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know I could.
Talk about that.
I went and got it took me 2 times. I thought I was stupid because it took me 2 times to get my GED, to pass my GED. And I literally went study groups.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't look at, girl, you haven't been in school since you were like 17 and you were a junior And now you're 20, girl, trying to do this. That's what I would tell that girl. But instead I said, how stupid am I? It took me twice. I passed my driver's test. I think that took me twice, right? Mm-hmm. So you're like, what in the world? And I didn't tell you that I got in a wreck driving my ex-husband because he was drunk one Christmas. We're supposed to go Christmas shopping, and I got in a really bad wreck. I'm lucky I was alive, and I broke his leg. And he claimed he was driving, and I was the one driving. So I have fear of driving too, right? Not to mention, I already told you I moved from Alaska to Atlanta when I was 15 and a half. You think I want to get a driver's license when I was 16? Oh, no. Atlanta has highways on highways. So you talk about intimidation, right? Not knowing you can do it. Mm-hmm. You might want better, but maybe you don't know you can. And then I went to JUCO. Then after I graduated, I don't know, I decided I was going to get an education. You know what my rock bottom was? This is what it was. I just remembered.
Shake it out.
I finally got straight A's. First time ever in school. I was always told I wasn't smart. I have supposedly some kind of learning disability. You know what? It's only disability if you make it a disability, right?
Only make it. And
so I went to school and I got straight A's. And my mom told me I couldn't do it. She told me go to continue ed. And my mom said, honey, I don't want you to get hurt. Don't go to real school. So I got straight A's. So I came running. Now, mind you, I'm not downplaying it. I downplayed it then. I took learning strategies, fundamentals of math, fundamentals of reading. Are you talking baby classes? When I literally sat to take my exam to go to JUCO, I came home and told Gerald, see, I'm not that smart. And you know what he said to me? Are you going to do it or you're not? So I started ground zero when I went to JUCO. Mm-hmm. And so I went to school. I got straight A's. So I ran home. I'm 20 years old. I don't know about you. All you want is your parents to tell you you're proud of them.
Yeah.
So I ran home to show my mom I got straight A's. And my mom looked at me and said, I am so sick of hearing about your school. And all you ever talk about is it. And you need to just stop that, basically. So I scooped my little baby up, who was 18 months at the time. I put him in my little car that I accidentally got out of the divorce because I told my husband I wanted it, and he actually gave it to me. I couldn't believe it. It was the only possession I owned. Piece of crap car, don't worry. But, and drove to my apartment. And on the way home, I was crying. And I said, Sheri, are you going to school to prove your mom wrong? Or are you doing it for you and Matthew? Because my son's name's Matthew. You better decide. And I said, all right, I'm doing it for us. I was working at the hospital at the time in the cafeteria, serving the doctors and nurses right here at Shawnee Mission Hospital. And I was going to school, so I was taking, like 12 credit hours, and I was working 30 hours a week and then raising a kid all on my own, no family support. No, what the heck is child support? Didn't ever see that because you actually have to work. If you work under the table and stuff, you don't got to pay child support. So anyway, I figured that out. Huh?
My wife had to go through that too. Her ex was smart enough to realize that way of getting around it too. So, man, that's
and
great.
You sometimes just do what you got to do. But every time I would run into an obstacle, I'd pick up the phone and I'd call my friend Gerald. And guess what he would say to me, Chuck? Do you want to or you don't? I'd be like, I can't. And he'd say, do you want to? Did you not hear me? Do you want to do it or you don't? And so I always think, oh my gosh, I know what he's going to tell me next. Do you want to or you don't? So
no matter what, even though he might be gone, because of that, anytime you come to a crossroad, he's going to always pop up in the back of your head. Do you want it or don't? You make up your mind right now.
Yep.
And that's all it is making up your mind. What would you say and this is off the wall, but what would you say was the best compliment Sheri Berger ever got?
See, and I don't know about compliments, but some of my clients that will work with me, like I literally go out in the community and I empower women and I work with I work with men too, but I work with mid to small size businesses, and I work with some phenomenal people. But when the person that has social anxiety and is scared to work with anybody and look at you and say, I got to work with you because you won't be judgmental, because you will get me where I need to be. So when I can get the social anxiety guy, the person that don't like people to work with me, when I can get people to say, but I trust you, that's like the biggest compliment. But I work with all my clients' confidentiality, and they know that too. And so when people will literally come to me and be willing to only work with me because they trust me, that's the biggest compliment, I think.
I like those kind of compliments, man. You came hard. You kind of like came from the back door with that answer. Slid right in on
Well,
you. I like that.
I mean, I'm not looking for compliments, but I think it's cool when people will work with you. And sometimes people look at me like, this is a difficult person. And I'm like, this is a broken person that needs somebody that understands where they're coming from. And they trust me to work with them. So I think that's pretty cool.
That's a powerful message, y'all. That's a powerful message. You're an author of a book entitled Here to There Revealed. Tell us a little bit about it.
All right. So back in 2019. Yeah, 2019.
Right before, you know what?
Well, we are all speakers going to be on a women's business cruise that was going to be in March 2020. So I decided all these speakers had written books and I hadn't. And I knew I needed to write a book, but I had every excuse in the world not to write a book. Because, did I tell you I have a learning disability?
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, they try to tell me I have dyslexia of some sort. And I do. And I didn't learn how to read till 3rd grade. And reading and writing are not my strong suits, believe it or not. It's not my thing. And so I kept feeling like, well, I need to write a book. But I had all these excuses why I couldn't. But then everybody else had a book, and I'm a speaker, and I do all that. And I'm like, well, I really need to write a book. And then God starts going, you need to make a bigger impact. So I started Kansas City Inspired Coffee with Sheri, which is on
social media.
Yeah, it's on
Facebook, Instagram.
So I started that group in October 2019. Kansas City Inspired Coffee with Sheri. I know. That's what you thought was funny when we met. You were like, wait a minute. Coffee. But I started that, and I didn't like videos of myself, and I didn't like. So I had all these excuses I'm giving to God. And he's looking at me like, you need to go make a bigger impact, and you can only help the community more. So I started doing pop-ups. I would do, 5 tips to stress, 5 tips to putting together a business plan, 12 tips to this. And I would do that every 8 o'clock every day on Kansas City Inspired Coffee. I started popping up. And people were like, man, you're amazing. And I'm like, I hate it. I didn't want to do it. That's why I'm doing it. Well, I was writing my book too and working on it. Yep, I was working on my book. And then the world shut down. So
imagine that. So
I know.
So it said God said you need a little more concentration. So we're gonna halt the whole world while you do this.
Well, then the world shut down in March 2020, and I cried for about 2 weeks. I'm trying to get this book done, and I got every excuse with my book too.
Yep. So this is it, guys.
That is my book.
Here to There Revealed: A System for Balancing Life and Business by Sheri L. Berger. It's pretty neat. From Here to There. Where'd you come up with the title? I mean, it's got to have some significance.
I overthought the title. And my name of my business is Here to There. And I finally said it's supposed to be Here to There Revealed. Again, I spent forever trying to come up with a title, and then it was right there the whole time.
Yeah.
But the world shut down, like I said, and I cried for about 2 weeks. And then I realized God's like, you need to go and help as many people as you can. So I have a whole toolbox because I used to be a system analyst for Sprint, programmer analyst for Computer Science Corporation in the 90s, straight out of college when I graduated. By the way, I graduated JUCO with a 3.8 grade point average. I graduated Park with 3.3. And so I went and I worked all these jobs. And then anyway, my point is I have this huge toolbox of knowledge. And God's like, go use it. I'm like, okay. So I went out and I tried to help as many small to mid-sized businesses as I could out in the community. Mm-hmm. And Kansas City is not that big. Kansas City or Missouri.
We lost a lot of businesses, though.
There was a lot of them that I know, but a lot of people were doing this. I'm like, open your hand. And I finally got them to. And then I got caught and I won the Kansas City Businesswoman Advocate of the Year, which I didn't even know that award.
And that was the first award.
Yeah, but that was in March. And so I was so busy trying to so-called not save the world, but save these businesses. It was horrid. They were all being shut down. Yep. These business owners are not just business owners. They are my friends. They're my clients. Yeah. And they got families. So my heart was breaking. So I went and did that. And then, somebody nominated me for another award. But in the middle of that, I finally decided I really need to finish my book. So I finished my book, too, because how do you make a bigger impact, Chuck?
By following through.
By having this book. Yeah. And so now I have this book that's 6 chapters long. It takes you from here to there. It helps you create a whole roadmap. There's a bunch of stuff I've been teaching on. I've owned this business for 11 years, and I've owned my own business for the last 23 years. But that book, now I'm making a bigger impact because I have the book that people can pick up, right? And I do workshops off my book, and that book is set up where, well, the biggest purpose of the book is you to figure out your vision, your mission, and your purpose. Mm-hmm. Not just for your business, though, for your life. So it's a whole roadmap. And guess where it all starts?
Where?
Mindset, right?
That's where everything starts.
Chapter 1 is mindset. Do you want to or don't, right? I mean, what is your mindset? What are you telling yourself you can't do? Chapter 2 is all about your vision, purpose, mission. Chapter 3 is all about setting those 6 goals in your life. Now, spirituality is the core of who everybody is. Right. I'm a Christian. I'm not pushing that on you, but everybody has that, right? Some form of spirituality. Mm-hmm. Then you got your health. Then you got your relationships. Then you got your business. Then you got your finances. And then you have your personal development. Are you growing? I'm growing. Are you shrinking, right? How many books are you listening to? What podcast are you listening to? What are you doing to grow as a person? Right. So that's important. And then chapter 4 is about those people that we need in our life. We need coaches. We need mentors in our life.
Inspirers.
We need friends. I love people. I love people. They're like snowflakes, man. Me too. They're so awesome, and they're all so unique. And people have told me they could be raindrops. And I'm like, no. Alaskan girl says snowflakes. And I love them. And my husband always says I collect them. But when I talk about friends, I'm talking about your real friends. Mm-hmm. Like I got those friends that when I'm stuck on the side of the road and it's 2 a.m, 3 a.m, they're going to come pick my butt up, right?
Those are pocket friends.
Yeah, you need those friends, though, right, in your life. And then the other thing I talk about is those toxic people in your life. Like, I mean, maybe you got family members, right, that are just, I don't know. I say some people decide to be victims. Some people choose to be overcoming, right? And I got some family members, they're just victims. And that's, I mean, you can only help those that want to help themselves. But you could limit your exposure. Or maybe you just need to not hang out with them at all, those toxic people, right? And then chapter 5 is all about getting your finances order, your pre-spending plan. Because we know we're going to spend money, right? One way or another. Is it falling through your fingers or do you got a plan for it? And then chapter 6 is all about your time. Your most valuable asset is your time.
That's it.
So if you're not time blocking and you're not spending your time, because you know life is short.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it's very, very short. And I've had a lot of loss in my life. And what I'm saying is, are you doing what you're called to do, to live your dream? So I like that book got out. By the grace of God, I got the book together, but guess how I wrote the book? Remember I told you about all my excuses?
Yeah.
I got a team together.
Yes.
A team. I had multiple editors, I had cheerleaders. You need cheerleaders in your life. I got my friends. When I kept coming up with all the excuses, I finally go, what do I need? I need a team. So I put a team together. I wrote my book. I had accountability, people kicking my butt. I had, right? It takes a team when you want to get something done big.
Yes, it
so
does.
That's how I wrote my book. Get a
Takes
team.
a campaign. It takes a campaign, and a real campaign at that. And it looked like this was a real one because they put it together from the front page to the last. And it's well written. It looks good, and I can't wait to start reading it. I got 2 questions about this book, though. The first question would be, I got it down here. I didn't want to lose these questions because these are good ones. Where is it at? First, what would you say the strongest purpose for this book?
To make an impact, to help people, to make sure people are living. I help people create the life and business that they love. Don't let your business run you. Don't let your life run you. Life's so short. Make sure you get your life, your vision, your purpose, your mission. That is the whole purpose. What does it say? It says a system for balancing your life
and business.
Making sure. Don't let your business own you. Mm-hmm. Don't let your life run you either.
And it's hard sometimes.
Without a plan, they'll be planned to fail.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question. Can we really have life-work balance? No. But if we have a plan and we have those 6 areas and what 3 things we're going to do in them, at least we have a plan. Sometimes maybe a relationship's going to take more time or your business, but are you still trying to stay balanced in it all? Without a plan, you're not.
So you coach, train, you're a speaker and a mentor. Do you do a lot of this? How do you do a lot of stuff? How are you able to get all that in one day?
You know what my goal is? To work 30 hours a week.
That's
my goal. You want to know why? You do masterminds, you do workshops, you get out, you figure out how to do bigger impacts, figure out how to duplicate yourself. You have a plan. Yeah. You have systems, you have procedures, right? But I am a busy woman. I will tell you that. I'm very busy. I got 4 kids. 2 of them are married. 3rd one's fixing to get married. I got a grandbaby. I got aging parents. I'm actually considered a sandwich generation because I got young adults.
You're on ACA. You're on Toastmasters. You got all kind of stuff.
But if you want to get something done, who do you give it to?
Yeah.
The busy person, right?
You're gonna have
you
to
give it to the person that wants to move. Exactly. Yeah. But I will let you know, my husband is a huge priority. Mm-hmm. You won't be calling me between 9 and 10 at night. I'm with my husband. Yeah. I have date nights. My kids are at the age they love hanging out with mom. That's like their favorite thing. Oh, wait. My older one thinks I'm pretty cool. But I have a 24-year-old, 23, and 20-year-old. Guess what they get told? Are you on my calendar? Well, no, Mom, I've been busy. When we doing coffee? When we doing lunch? When we going to the mall? What are we doing? Get on my calendar. They'll finally just get on my calendar because they don't want to not hear it from Mom. Yeah. But actually, they like me. It's not that. But to teach them, the relationships are important.
Right.
Do you have your important people in your life on your calendar? You need to put them on your calendar. Otherwise, you're too busy. Right. And you're not too busy, are you? No. And so I used to always tell my kids, even like they want to sleepovers, is it on the calendar? But even me, am I on your calendar? Because if I'm not
when
on
I
your
first
calendar,
said, hey, Sheri, I got to get you on the show. You sent me back over that email. Get me on the calendar.
Exactly.
You said get on my calendar, and you sent me your calendar link.
Yeah, but you wanted me to get on the show. What did I tell you? Yeah. Get on my calendar and we can have coffee.
Yes.
Because that's the thing. Yeah, you got to meet with people. You got to get to know people. You got to spend time with people. Who do people want to work with, first of all?
They want to work with people they like to enjoy being around.
They like, know, and trust.
Yes.
How do you get that?
By learning who they are.
So my
Gotta
kids
meet
as a
up with 'em.
teenager, they never got away with not hanging out with mom. Come on now. We're going to go have coffee. We're going to go to lunch. We're going to, right? And, now they're getting older, and so they're getting it a little bit more. But you get that middle school. I don't know about you. I mean, middle school, high school, those kids think they don't need, and they do.
It's Mom. I don't wanna
But
deal with
no,
Mom
you
today.
need. And your relationships. Do you know marriage is hard?
Yes, I do.
Do you know divorce is hard?
That's probably harder.
Well, it depends. I got divorced, and it made it easier to raise a kid by being divorced, just to be honest.
Some
So
things are
choose
easy.
your hard, right?
Yeah.
But if you're not making
Progress.
if you're not making the other person a priority.
Yeah.
I mean, I can get my big bandwagon with spouses. Like, if you're not talking to your friend that way, why do you talk to your spouse that way? Why do you talk to your kids that way? Why don't you spend that time with those people that matter in your life? So put them on your calendar. Put your friends on your calendar. But do you run your calendar, or does your calendar run you?
You're supposed to run your calendar.
But you have your essentials on your calendar.
Yeah.
Your non-negotiables. Do you have them on your calendar? Because you need to put them on your calendar first. Your non-negotiables. Like working out. Some people go to the gym every day. That is a non-negotiable. That's what they're going to do. Some people do Bible study every day. That's what they're going to do. Some people on Sundays are going to go to church. Some people like to watch something called sports. I don't even know. I grew up in Alaska, man. We do the Iditarod. You guys should do that. That's much more fun.
I gave
I'm
that
just
stuff
being
up.
funny. I'm being funny, but what are your non-negotiables, right?
Yeah.
And we got to put those on our calendar first. And then you can start filling in all the rest stuff.
Planning is everything. I remember when I was having my hardest points in my life, planning was about 2 years ago. We were scaling, and we were trying to get another employee on, and we just got another employee on, but this employee didn't have all the knowledge that we would have wanted him to have. So I thought that the planning that I was making was giving me more time to be able to do other things, but I kept getting diverted back to trying to help the guy overcome some of his issues that he was having on some of the job sites. But you're right. Planning is definitely an important thing. I see that you are a consulting firm as well. What do you actually do with Here to There Consulting? And how can that service help somebody that might be listening today?
Okay, so I feel like people sometimes need a little bit of consulting and coaching all in one. Way back 23 years ago, I opened up my own consulting firm, and 9/11 happened. And everybody's like, oh, the economy plunged. No, I was pregnant through that, and I lost my brother in 9/11. So that's a whole nother story. But it ended up, becoming a lot that I had to pivot and change and do all that. So now I have this business that does consulting and coaching, because I found out when I started this business up 11 years ago, people need a little bit of combination of both. Do you need to come with better systems and procedures, or do you need more accountability and coaching, right? So I try to look at, I do. I look at the bird's eye view, and we try to figure out, what do you need? Do you need consulting or more coaching? Most generally, you probably need a little bit of combination of both to move you from here to there. But we create custom roadmaps to move you, like I said, from here to there. And the thing with when I was talking about time blocking and putting those essentials on your calendar, we got to be willing to pivot. But if we don't have a plan, we plan to fail, right? Those people, when we went through this big pandemic we just went through, people had a plan, but they had to be willing to let go of it and pivot a little bit.
To something different.
But those ones could pivot easier than the ones that had no plan at all. I was like, man, now we're trying to figure out the needle in the haystack. At least I could sit down with those people that were crying and going, but I was going to do this and do that. Because all our plans went out the window, right? When the pandemic happened, right? Everybody's plans went out the window. But let's look at what your plan is. let's figure out where we can pivot and where we can still maybe meet some of those goals and objectives. But if you don't got goals and objectives in front of you,
see, we switch.
Where's your target? Do you even know where you're throwing the
needle?
Throwing the dart?
You gotta know where
you don't even know.
They say if you're throwing the needle, you better watch where you're throwing it, because once it lands in that haystack, if you don't know where to get it, you're gonna be crawling and fumbling. So yeah, that's crazy. We didn't falter when the pandemic hit us. We were just, like you said, you pivot. I mean, we didn't have to pivot too far, but soon as it hit, the day they shut the city down, Sheri, I'm serious. We got our place. I literally had a bucket truck sitting out in front of my house. Mm-hmm. I lit a residential home for 2 years. We finally got a place to put that bucket truck. We finally got our building, and they shut the city down. That's the day we were moving in. And it's like, what do we do now? We got to kick in the mode, because I'm happy I got this place. So just with God giving me this place, I was so happy that I can't lose it. So I was ready to do something, and we just kept moving, and we kept moving, and we still moving. So you're right. You got to be ready to take that chance, take that change. If you have to make that change, you gotta be ready to move. You gotta be ready to pivot. With all of the stuff that's going on, with helping the world and taking care of your parents, how do you manage to balance your life, though? How are you managing to keep all of this balance? And I know this is what your book is talking about, but how do you do it?
Well, the only way that you can have balance in your life, right, is, okay, I don't know about you, but my day starts off better if I do my prayer, my devotion. Yes, I make sure I have a plan every day. And before I leave the office, I still have my to-do list for the next day. And then when I get in the office, I still have my to-do then. But sometimes we got to pray about it first, right? And then move forward. But then you got to be willing to pivot. I mean, I had 3 teenagers at once, right? So you never know when you're going to get those emergency phone calls when you got young kids, right? I tell everybody, man, I had a 3, 2, a newborn, and a 13-year-old at the same time. And I did it, right? I ran my own business doing that. But when you say that, what's the top priority? So you have your list of what to do. But if your parents call you and they need their meds picked up, or is it something they need now? Or can they wait till you go to the grocery store on Tuesday and you can pick stuff up? So figuring out what are those
triggers
have to do now. And your kid leaving their math at home does not mean you run it up to them either, right? But where do you need to pivot even when you got your calendar to keep it a little bit balanced? But what are right now in your life, each person needs to figure this out themselves. Some people, if you're just starting up a business, you're going to have to wear way too many hats. And you got to do that for a minute. But I need to see where your 5-year goals are, or where your 3 years, because you're not going to keep wearing all these hats.
Yeah.
So then you got to start, what'd you just say, hiring up the right people, or know what your vision, purpose, and mission for that business is so that you can. So if it's a season, I talk about that in my book too. What season are you in? Right? What season in life are you in? So what do you need to do? If you're having marital problems, you might be spending more time in your marriage, working that out. If you're having teenage problems. So like I said, I had a consulting business that I started 23 years ago. So I have done business plans, put business strategies together, did all that until, I think about the time I started up this business, or maybe it was about 6 years ago, I realized if you don't have balance in your life, your business suffers.
Yeah.
If you're having text fight with your spouse and then you come try to close on a deal, people know it. If your teenagers are out of control, people know it, right? If you're having health issues, you can't function a business. If you have financial issues, you can't run a business. Yeah. And if you ain't doing personal growth and you think you know it all, you can't be running a business. That's why I realized these 6 areas of not being in balance affect business owners. It affects your life. But when you say, how do you stay balanced? Every day is a balancing act, right?
Yeah.
Every day you have to figure out, what are my have to do's today and what are my priorities? And then sometimes you might have to pivot because you get a sick kid, which I've gotten that, right? Or a teenager. Have you ever had teenagers just do stupid and you get a phone call from school?
No.
You're like, why?
Never that.
I don't want to deal with this, but now I am. Well, I'm going to tell you, with aging parents, you can get the same thing. I'm teenage aging parents. Ha, ha, ha. What's the difference? But my point is, you just got to look at where you're at and where you're trying to go and make sure you keeping on.
Yeah, you got to keep moving in that direction. You, if you were to be remembered for anything, what would it be?
My biggest mission in life is to make a difference in other people's life. So I work every day to do that. And I love what I do for a living. I get to sit down, have a cup of coffee with people, find out what their strategies are, and help them move from here to there. I'll be honest, I don't care if people remember me. Mm-hmm. I hope they remember the impact. And if I could be that one person or one of their people to help them believe in themselves and know where they can go and know how phenomenal they are. How much could we change the world with the ripple effect if we could just, right?
Yeah.
And what I want is when I go to heaven, be told, well done, good and faithful servant. That is my whole mission in life. But to remember me, I mean, I'm here for what? A split second to go out and make the biggest impact that I can in my small little life.
Leaving an impact. I mean, I think that's what all of everyone's goal should be, because the bigger the impact you leave in this place, the longer you'll be remembered. You know, some people come and they leave a impact, and I guess it's also not just the impact. I guess it's what kind of an impact too. Some people left this world bad impact, but that's what I do. That would fall for me too. I would just want to be that person that makes an impact, you know. And you're making a big impact. Trust me. I mean, for people to nominate you without you even knowing, that means you are blindly doing what you're doing, not caring what type of backlash you get, as long as the backlash is helping somebody else out. So that speaks a lot about your character, Sheri, and that leads us into the next question. Before we leave the show, we always let the interviewee leave the crowd with a positive message. And I know you're full of these things, so what would you tell our listeners? What would you leave our listeners with if you were leaving a positive message?
So, you know, what is that song that always says, if I only had so long to live? What would you want to do? What did you want to do back when you were 5, right? We forget. Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? What kind of impact do you want to make on the world? What is your purpose, your mission and vision? And if you say, but I can't do that, why? Do you want to or you don't, right? That's what Gerald would always say to me. And you know what? You don't have to be good at everything.
You don't.
That's the problem. Sometimes we got to outsource some things. And so that's okay. But if you really want to do it and you feel you're called to do it, then do it. Go make that impact. And I am always willing to be somebody's cheerleader, mentor, coach. Reach out to me, reach out to other people. Who are those people that you need? And where are you lacking maybe in those resources? Well, we're in Kansas right now. Kansas is phenomenal at helping small to mid-sized businesses.
Yes.
Kansas is phenomenal with people. But I mean, I'm helping people all over the world now because this pandemic tried to make our world smaller.
Open the door up.
But it made it bigger. It made a bigger bigger impact. You have more people. We're Zooming now. We're on podcasts now. Sky's the limit.
Yep.
I've been lucky. You told me that. I've been in Toastmasters International since 2006. So how long is that? Long time.
Yeah.
So I have friends from all over the world, but even now we can have more people all over the world. And if you could just pull your team together, your resources together, what can you accomplish to help other people? So that's my
whole lot more. That's for sure. Sheri Berger, could you look at that screen and tell our viewers how they could reach out to you? Give them your socials, your all of your contacts. I know you got a link. Do you got a Linktree?
I do. I have linktree.com, which is Sheri Berger Linktree. But heretothereconsulting.com is my website. Has all my social media out there. I'm all over social media. I'm on Facebook, on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. I have my own YouTube channel called Here to There Consulting. So yeah, you can find me. If you go to heretothereconsulting.com, you can find all of my social media there.
So they say someone wants mentorship. What's the steps? They reach out to you. Once they reach out to you, do you guys sit down and talk?
So I do a one free hour consultation, and you can get on my calendar, how do you say that?
Calendry.
Yeah, that's also on heretothereconsulting.com. That's the easiest way to reach out to me. My email's on there. You can email me. But getting on my calendar and doing a free 1 hour consultation, I meet in person if we're in the Kansas City area, or we can meet on Zoom. I do a combination of both. So, yeah.
Very, very resourceful, man. You are a gem. And I knew it when I first met you at the ACA hall that I was about to get enlightened by yet another networking event. You know, because these networking events that I've been going to, I've definitely been, you come across people that are gems that other people just don't know exist and have so much worth to give people. And you just don't even know that they're out there until you run across them. So thank you for running into me that day. Because ever since then, hey, it's opened up doors for us. So I appreciate you coming on the show. It's definitely been an honor. I can't wait to get started in my book. Thank you. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you so much, Chuck, for having me on today. And I really appreciate that you do this podcast. And I love a lot of your guest speakers. And thank you for keep having people on your podcast and keep moving forward.
Man, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for joining us again for another Saturday morning coffee cup session. I hope you guys have the best rest of your week you can possibly have. And like always, stay positive, people.